Hi there. My name is Kay Moon, and I am a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the full moon in Cancer occurring January 6, 2023 at 6:07 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. Happy New Year, my beloveds. It's so great to meet you on this side of the holiday season and to be able to bring in another new year with you all. Quick announcements. There is definitely time left in my calendar at the tail end of January and the very beginning of February. If you would like to book some time to look at the year ahead, the Venus retrograde coming, and the major changes of the year, if you're curious about the way the movement of Saturn into Pisces, Pluto into Aquarius are going to impact you, then now is a great time to get on my calendar to do that. The first 6 months of this year, really 4 months, are going to be the most activity heavy in terms of transformation, growth, and change brought on by the planets. So if you would like to have a look at how that shakes out for you personally, then I strongly recommend you book time with me as soon as you're able to get it in my calendar. And like I said, there's some space left as of right now on the 26th and the 31st, and then going into the first week of February. Looking forward to chatting with you. So here is our full moon, and it is right here at the 16th degree of Cancer. And we have some interesting conversations that she's having. She is conjunct Pallas here, which brings on a protective energy for our emotions. We've got an opposition to Mercury, who is retrograde at this time. We've got a square to Chiron up here in Aries, and a sextile to Uranus over here in Taurus. So this is our sense of enoughness being activated and questioned, and our capacity for change and making change in our life to cultivate momentum into new directions. We've also got a trine here to Vesta over here in Pisces, and Vesta bringing forward our spiritual commitment for the new at this time, especially since Vesta and Uranus are also in conversation with one another through this full moon. So this is thrilling. This first lunar update for the new year, I'm really pumped about. There's so much, there's like a energy of a pregnant pause, I guess you could say, where we're in this energy of a potentiated state where there's all of this possibility coming just to a boil, just underneath the surface, ready to bust out, break through, cultivate, and create something new for us in our lives. Because this is a full moon in Cancer, and because the energies that this lunation is speaking to, Uranus, Chiron, Vesta, and Mercury, there's a lot of clarification going on for our emotional truths and realities. These energies are bringing forward information for our emotions at this time and facilitating an opportunity to look more deeply at how we really feel. What's the truth of where we're really at? And our emotions are an important barometer. They let us know the truth of what we're thinking and what we're wanting. And without those kind of checkpoints, our emotional checkpoints, sometimes we can move through life in very unconscious ways. And so with this, especially because Mercury is opposite this lunation and Mercury is retrograde, Mercury representing consciousness, there can be a little bit of mood swings going back and forth between rational and emotionally driven, coming from the head, coming from the heart, back and forth, 180-degree swings. We can even go to extremes with this because of the way Chiron is in the mix, and it can be going from being overly emotional 1 minute to overly analytical and rational the next minute. This is interesting energy. When you put all of this together, there's a little bit of a T-squaring energy here, which brings us into the teen degrees of Libra, where there is no planetary occupation. If we want to balance this out, because we've got activation here in cardinal sign Cancer, cardinal sign Aries, cardinal sign Capricorn. The only activation missing in the cardinal signs is in Libra. If we want to balance all this out, we need to occupy the Libran energy ourselves. We need to consciously make the choice. I'm going to approach this in a fair, a balanced, a just, a relational partnership kind of way with other people. This focus on our partnerships is highlighted at this time, asking us to lean into how do we work with the people that we are connected to in a way that is win-win for them and for us. Because of the influence of Chiron in the mix here, Chiron is the squaring energy to the full moon. There can be a sense of emotional woundedness and tenderness, a sense of what's missing or what's absent may surface, a sense of feeling less than, places where we may have in the past felt defeated or in some way not enough. That can come up during this full moon, but it has a purpose. And it's to get us to confront the stories that we have about ourselves and see that they are indeed just stories, especially in the world of relationship and love, where we've been telling ourselves love doesn't work out for me, or, I've never had good experiences in love, or things always go this way, where we've leaned into cognitive distortions and told ourselves stories of defeat. That's not the truth of who we are. And so this lunation is bringing those up so that we can get them out, almost like detoxing or vomiting out poison. We're going to be experiencing this so that we can release it. And this is a really good time if you, especially with the Mercury retrograde, if you do any EFT or tapping, emotional freedom technique, you do any journaling or affirmations, or you've got a good therapist that you speak to about the stories that you've been carrying that you would like to transcend, now is the time to work on those. Okay. We've got Juno and Jupiter at this lunation. There they are sitting together, the divine counterparts in the zodiac, Juno being Jupiter's wife, that most astrologers won't talk about, but I certainly do, because we are not omitting the feminine. That's what we're not going to do. And these two are sitting together all month. And this is a rare period of time because the two of these only come together once every 5 to 7 years. It's very rare. And so here they are coming together, forming a significant portion of the beginning of the year's energy, calling forward divine light, divine love, calling forward our capacity to be in partnership with ourselves, since they are coming together in the sign of Aries, calling us all into a higher level love. And this comes, the two of them coming together comes after a protracted season. So you guys all remember kind of some of the heaviness that was in the conversation as we closed out 2022, right? It was a protracted season of self-examination in the last 4 to 6 months of 2022. all calls for change that we encountered last year were to get us to this point. So there were many lunations where Juno was heavily featured in the lunar update, and there were lots of wake-up calls, deep looks into the mirror, emotional purging, emotional transformation and growth that we were called into as we closed out 2022. That period of time of release was so that we could move into this new season where the two of these run together and then move into a new chapter, romantically speaking, for all of us. Now we can do that with clean hearts, clean minds, clear energetic fields because we have done the excavational work. So this point in time with this full moon in Cancer as the way we kick off the year is a bit of an emotional recalibration. It's a bit of a step up. There's some evolution to this with Uranus sextile the moon. So here's Uranus, Uranus being the hand of the divine, the original divine counterpart. It's the energy of divine intervention, quantum leap, stroke of insight, stroke of genius. Uranus speaking to this lunar energy is bringing in an aspect of, hey, opportunity to quantum leap into a new beginning is certainly here. It will take effort. Sextiles provide a lot of benefit, but they're not the kind of benefits that fall into your lap. These are the kind of benefits that have to be taken advantage of. We have to take an action. We have to make a decision in order to get the benefits of this sextile of emotional new beginnings. This Uranus is also trining this Mercury. So the trine is a harmonious aspect that does bring benefit that falls into our lap. And this would be stroke of insight, stroke of genius, consciousness that brings forward the aha moment about what we have to do in order to have the momentum to move into the new year with new energy. Okay. And this would be during this lunation moment of recognition, realization, insight about what you're emotionally ready for next. And again, because Chiron is so influential, there could be a lot of rumination. We've got Nessus also making an impact. Nessus is that rumination kind of energy. There can be a lot of the negative stories and songs on repeat in our head about ourselves, about our love possibilities. But again, it has that purpose of coming up so it can get purged out and we can start with new energy like, look at me repeating that story in my head over and over again about that person, about myself. Maybe it's time for me to let that story go. What if something different could be true here? Right? And so the Uranian energy wants us to take risks in work. That's pertaining to the Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, our work sign, risks in love. This is this Uranus sextiling the moon in sign of love and beauty. That's Taurus there. Deeper commitment energy is also here with the trine to the new moon from Vesta and Nessus. There's an opportunity for deeper commitments in love unfolding here. This proposal energy for some of you may have jumped into a relationship as we closed out last year and are starting this year. You may be taking the next step in love energy. If there was somebody you were connecting with as you closed the year, now things may be going a step deeper as you start the year. This comes with a lot of passion as well, because we have Venus and Mars trining. And so normally when we see Venus and Mars in a harmonious aspect to one another, that tends to be some sexy time energy. It's energy that brings in a lot of physical intimacy, attraction, chemistry. And because they're both in air signs, a lot of the stimulation around this will come through conversation, will come through talking to one another and communication. There may also be a lot of clarity coming through in your relationships about where things stand at this time and where they don't. Okay. Huge motivation here with a lot of this energy, especially with the Mars retrograde. There's tons of motivation to capitalize on and retrieve lost opportunities. Mars is motivation and ambition. Retrograde is a retrieval motion in Gemini. It's through communication, through talking. Okay. Gemini is also the sign of the explorer or the curious one. And so taking the time to explore things during this Mars retrograde that ends in 6 days, explore things that have previously been left untouched or things left unsaid. Okay. This is an opportunity to retrieve lost opportunities, capitalize on missed chances. And there is this sense of, look, it's now or never with all of the cardinal energy here. Cardinal energy signals new beginnings. Cardinal's energy's responses to life is to jump in, to begin again, to start anew, start fresh. It's to initiate. There is this sense that's been building for a long time with Uranus speaking with the North Node most of last year, and now into the start of this year, they're pulling away from each other, but they are still tight enough to be formulating a large piece of a very significant conversation that has meant to move our lives in brand new directions at this time. 2022 will be the year that many of us look back on and say, okay, yeah, that was the year everything changed. We may not see it now, but the Uranus connection to the North Node, Uranus again being that movement of the divine, North Node being the movement of the direction of our lessons and growth, that will be the year we will look back on and recognize things went right or things went left in 2022. Okay. And ultimately, this has been, the two of them have been working overtime to facilitate our movement into the next highest incarnation of who we're meant to be, what we're called to be here on Earth. Uranus always wants to evolve us into whom and what we were created to be, bring us into that next highest octave. Okay. We've also got Neptune sextiling the sun. Oh, dear Neptune, here's the sun. There they are having a little bit of a conversation there and trine this moon. And this is bringing us a deeper understanding that it's time. It's a time to surrender to the process, to just let things play out. It's a recognition. Some things we just cannot control, no matter how hard we try. And the right thing to do is just going to flow here. It's going to feel natural. It will feel organic. It will be unimpeded. There's a lot of natural momentum and flow from water to water, Pisces to Cancer, Neptune to the moon in this energy. There's also a bit of a question mark in the air with Venus squaring the nodal axis. So whenever we get a planet that's squaring the nodal axis, it indicates a choice point and an opportunity. We've got Chariklo here speaking with Venus. And it's important to understand that when these two run together in this way, and we've got this kind of off ramp or choice point that allows us to take a hard left or a hard right in the storyline of our lives, it's important to understand, okay, what does Venus represent and what is the choice for you? So Venus and Venusian matters represent love and money in traditional astrology. It's the things we are drawn and attracted to. It's that which we would like to cultivate. It's almost like that whisper in the heart, that soul song that, God will speak to us in the manner of the things that we are drawn to, the desire of our heart of hearts. What's unique about this choice point, whenever we have a planet squaring the nodal axis, we get a choice point. What's unique about this one is that, yes, it could be about love, whom you're loving, how you're loving, the way in which you are loving at this time, whom you're allied with in love. Is it this person or that person, or do you need to be on a solo journey for a while? It can also be about money, how you're making money, where you're putting money, how you're investing your money, what money are you saving, right? What job are you doing to bring the money in? Are you taking appropriate risks in your business to bring about making money in the way that's aligned for you? These themes, love and or money, depending upon how this shakes out in your personal chart, are conversations that are going to be up through the remainder of January. Whatever you decide at this point, there's extra wind in the sails because of the positioning of Chariklo. Chariklo represents the energy of divine intercession. It's the energy of someone interceding on your behalf with God, with the divine, however you like to think about it, asking that your prayers be answered for you and pulling the ear of the divine in your direction to hear you. And so whatever it is that you've been in prayer and or meditation around, that you have been beseeching the divine for when it comes to love or money at this time in your life, know that A, the manifestation, the prayer, it has been heard, and B, it will yield result in due time. This is a matter of being decisive. This is not an energy in which you can afford to be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You will, in fact, find, if you are double-minded, split-focused, halfway in your marriage, halfway dealing with another person, trying to start this business, but clinging to your full-time job for like your life depends upon it, where you are double-minded, where you are split-energied, you are going to find that either nothing manifests or you get split manifestation back. The universe is confused, doesn't know what to bless you with. This energy, because it's a direct square to the nodal axis, does require that you are making a decision in the world of your behaviors, meaning your choices need to be clear. You cannot be in two places at the same time with two different lovers. You cannot in the same day, the same exact between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. You cannot work the job and work out a business at the same time. You can't split yourself in this energy. You have to be making a decision. And so all of the difficulties, all of the pressure that mounted in the last 4 months of 2022, all of the chaos, the confusion, the pressure of it was designed so that by this point in time, you're really clear, this is what I want, this is what I'm prepared to do about it, and I'm moving in this direction, done and done, so that the universe is able to bless you as the decision gets made. So if you're still hanging out in like double-minded landia, now would be a great time to get to the truth in your heart about how you really feel, what you really want, and just surrender to it. The emotionality of this full moon is so loud and so deep at this time, so that you cannot ignore the truth. If you have, in fact, been having a very emotional full moon, it may be because there has been a truth pounding at your door that you have been looking the other way from. The energy at this time is designed for your surrender, designed for you to allow the truth in, and with humility and humbleness in our hearts, accept The truth is, I just feel like this and I need to align my life accordingly when it comes to specifically love or money. So it's a very important period of time to shore up your decisions in alignment with what's true inside of your heart. That's the full moon in Cancer, emotional integrity. Cancer represents our emotional truths and realities. So, assuming you've taken all of the warnings and work of the last 4 to 6 months quite seriously, this should actually be a period of time of relative ease and flow as the next step very naturally unfolds itself from here. The work of the last 6 months was significant. There were tons of being kind of smashed between a rock and a hard place moments, and a really deep call to transform our lives and leave behind old ways, old people, old circumstances, a call to dig deeply into confronting our biggest fears and blocks when it comes to transforming our lives. The knowingness of what there's to do has been in our awareness for quite some time. So there should be no confusion about what needs to happen. Assuming we've done the work, this is a moment of lightness, of ease, of unfoldment, of flow. It's a moment of momentum as new things rush in for many people. And it would have felt like the new year for many of us began actually in 2022. There would have been moments in 2022 where it just became evident. Yeah, I cannot wait for a resolution. I resolve now to turn over a new leaf. I am just doing a new thing today. That could have hit you in August, September, October, November, December, anywhere in the last 4 months of 2022. The break in the energy that where it was really heavy closing out 2022, the break in the energy really should have been palpable as we completed December and moved into January and completed the old, and there was an opening of new energy and renewal energy. Even Lilith opposing this particular, here's Lilith at the 29th degree of Cancer. She's opposing Pluto, the 27th degree of Capricorn. Even Lilith, people think of her as a difficult energy, but she serves her purpose too. Pluto constitutes endings and the resurrection cycle, the process of moving from caterpillar to butterfly, where there's one stage that ends and a new stage that begins after a period of integration. Even Lilith, in opposition to Pluto, Lilith's energy is about doubling down on doing things our own way and being non-negotiable about it. That stubbornness about stepping into the new, the next, and emotionally closing out what we're done with is really serving us at this time. And so this energy will be with us as it demarks the entire flow of 2023 as the first lunation. It brings us into the vibration and frequency of where the year is headed. What's unique about this is that it predates some pretty significant changes that we're about to see. We're going to see Saturn move into Pisces in the next, I'd say 70 days. Saturn lands here in Pisces after a 2.5-year stint in Aquarius. That's going to bring a new flow around spiritual matters and really ground them significantly for a lot of us, moving out of kind of working in these ways that have maybe been a little bit more airy-fairy and operating with greater discipline, greater boundaries, greater movement that facilitates a groundedness to our spiritual operations here on Earth. We've got Pluto coming out of Capricorn and going into Aquarius this year. That'll also be happening in the next 90 days. Some of you will remember the fall of 2008, how there was significant financial transformations and changes at that point in time. Pluto had just entered into Capricorn at that junket. I have seen that the outer planets, Pluto being one of them, has a major impact on the opposing sign. And so what we had is Pluto in the sign that governed institutions, but the opposing sign was housing, that was Cancer. And so Pluto had an impact on the housing market through the banking systems at that time as Pluto moved into Capricorn in the fall of 2008. That was an economic collapse that we had kind of seen really start in the United States, but certainly had global impact. Now Pluto will leave Capricorn and create another major impact here as it steps into Aquarius. Aquarius being technology. And here we have Leo being about creativity and our sovereignty and a lot of our independence. So we're going to see impact to those two areas as well. We're already starting to see the impact of Pluto in Aquarius with the rise in strikes and protests worldwide. Wherever Pluto goes, power follows. During the time of Pluto in Capricorn's years, we saw a strengthening of government and institutions. We saw, especially here in the United States, corporations start to receive the same rights as individuals in the court systems and in the legal systems. Those rights are now about to be returned to the people. Aquarius governs the sign, is the sign that governs the people and the revolution. As Pluto steps into Aquarius, more protests, more, looking for people to have their rights respected and upheld through the court system. We're going to start to see a lot more of that, but we will also see some pretty significant changes in the world of technology as well. That certainly impacts what Leo governs. That's children, that's the arts as well. Okay. So it's an exciting time, but it is also one where, there's a saying, there's no change without the struggle. There's no transformation, without, the struggle for it. And so certainly there will be opportunities to stand up for your rights in various settings over the course of the Pluto and Aquarius years. And this first year will have a lot of transformation, growth, and change for all of us collectively. So we've got Pluto moving into Aquarius, Saturn moving into Pisces. Let's see, Jupiter has begun his new flow in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, kicking off a new 12-year cycle at this junket. And that Jupiter in Aries is bringing an expansion and attention and energy into the sign that represents the individual, the self, and our personal ambition. So expect that there's an expansion in people's personal ambitions and I can do itness and desire to charge forward in their lives, and then not taking no for an answer. There's going to be a lot of that as we move into this year as well. Jupiter will mid-year get into Taurus this year. Taurus also being a sign about personal finance as well, earned income, beauty. There's a lot of things around beauty treatments, beauty gurus, people who are deeply focused on the beautification of the home and the body, the adornment of them. We'll see a lot of spotlight on that as we move into the second half of the year. So plenty of change, lots of great stuff going on. If you'd like to look at any of these things with me privately, you can certainly do so. You can find me over at kmoonastro.com. There's a link below this video to get on my calendar. And now we're going to have a look at the new moon in a couple of weeks. I believe that'll be a new moon in Aquarius. I'm going to give you guys a first look at what that might what that might incorporate and entail. I'd be super curious about two things in the comment section below the video. Number one, should I keep first look? It was something I experimented with at the tail end of last year. I don't know if you guys really listened to the, tail end of the videos. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to keep first look. And so it's a preview of the next lunation. If you're new, I'm going to fast forward to the new moon that's coming in a couple of weeks and give you my very first impression of it. The second thing I'm curious about is where your new is taking place in your life. What decisions did you make as you closed out last year in terms of love or money? What decisions did you make to start something new? If you'd be willing to put that in the comments, what you had to let go of and step in so that you could step into something else. I think that may be inspiring to other people who are straddling in between the two worlds to know that they're not alone and that the decision can in fact be made and change their lives. So let me just go ahead and pull up what the new will look like. Let me just get the date on the new moon. And fast forward in my calendar. Looks like the new moon in Aquarius takes place at 3:53 on January 21st. So let's go ahead and pull that up. January 21st, 3:53 p.m. Okay. And now you guys are going to get my very first impression. Let me reshare the screen. New share. New moon in Aquarius. Ta-da. Okay. And there we go. There's the Aquarius new moon. We've got sun and moon together. Interesting. Pluto is very heavily featured at this lunation. Pluto is conjunct the new moon. I think we're going to start to feel that Pluto movement into Aquarius as early as the 21st. So within the next 2 weeks. I think we're also going to see, interestingly, there are our divine counterparts sitting together at that 23rd degree of, the 4th degree of Aries. Interesting. We've got Saturn and we've got Venus sitting together. That's commitment energy for sure, with both of these sitting together in the way that they are. And Aries, Mars sitting in Gemini, now direct, very exciting. Mercury now direct, very exciting. Okay. So my first impression of this January 21st new moon in Aquarius is it for many. I've said this, there's a lot of love energy in the air and new beginning of financial cycles and romantic cycles going on with this. New moons tend to portend new beginnings. And with the divine counterparts together and Venus, Saturn sitting together, this is like I said, this is matrimony energy. It's proposal energy. It's let's take the next step in our love story energy. And with Pluto being so heavily focused on at this lunation, like I said, Pluto really governs the resurrection cycle. And so there will be those through the Mars retrograde that will have the opportunity, because Mars governs the sign the divine counterparts are in. Some of you are going to be getting back together, if you haven't already, getting back together with a love that you've already known from the past. Others of you are going to be stepping into a brand new romantic cycle after a period of integration and an ending with somebody else. So whomever you closed out with last year, expect that the closing of that has laid the foundation and the groundwork for a new love story to unfold. And it may not necessarily happen right at this new moon in Aquarius. This new moon in Aquarius and the coming together of the divine counterpart energy, which I'm going to talk a bit more about in the twin flame update, which is a separate video that came out at the exact same time as this lunar update, the full moon in Cancer. This vibration, this frequency, this energy will be with us for a little bit of time, but because its influence will be with us for a little while, you can expect that. Think of it this way. I was talking to a teacher. One of my clients is a teacher for elementary school students. The school year, if you live in the United States, is a 9-month academic year. It starts in September every fall. However, in the month of August, before that, there's a full month of preparatory work that needs to happen just with the teacher in their specific classroom inside of the school. There's meetings that take place between the different teachers and the faculty and the staff before the students ever get there. However, when August rolls around and those first faculty meetings take place and the teacher gets access to their classroom, that's the start of the school year for the teacher. Even though the students don't arrive until September, it's that first week of, okay, now we're in the school, now we're in the classroom, now we're setting up lesson plans, we're getting ready. And that's what I'm thinking of this month of January, the full moon in Cancer, the new moon in Aquarius. Like, this energy is the facilitation, it's the beginning of the beginning. The new love may not come in for a little bit of time after this, but this period of time is the kickoff. This period of time is the beginning of the beginning. It's the access to the classroom. It's the faculty meetings that let you know, okay, school's about to go down. It's about to happen. The students are going to arrive in less than 30 days, that kind of thing. And so this energy is like that. And so it's very exciting. It's really beautiful. Like I said, it's very love filled. It's very filled with connection and pull toward coming together. There's togetherness about this energy at the new moon in Aquarius, but it's together in a new way. Aquarius represents the new, the next, the quantum leap forward. Even if you're going to come together with somebody that you've already known from your past, it's going to be different this time. There will be a different vibe, a different frequency to it. If it's about money, if you're coming into a way of making money that you have done before, even at this time, it's going to be new. There's going to be something about it that's different. And again, hopefully you've done all of the work that 2022, that crucible of a closing of a year, man, it was pressure filled, but hopefully you got the therapy, you did the past life work, you dealt with what you needed to deal with in the third dimension to release so that this new beginning could land in your life. There's not already a car in the spot you're trying to put your new car in. All right. And that is how you skip repeating a cycle as you do the work. All right, my loves, I hope that was constructive for you. Again, curious, do you like first look? Should I keep it? I don't know. I might just let that go and go back to, just keeping it the one lunar update so things don't get too long. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. And if you'd like me to look at all of this in your personal chart and the year ahead, then book with me over at kmoonastro.com. It'd be my honor to have a look at your year ahead. Thanks so much. Take great care and bye for now.